that's right, you're new too, huh?
Yeah.
We'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll go from there.
Sounds good.
Hello.
Hi, Danica. How are things? How's it wording?
Really wet. I dyed my hair.
Huh?
I dyed my hair. My boyfriend cut all his hair off.
All of it?
All of it. It was down to here, and he came home with none.
Wouldn't have some paid to cut it all off.
It was
Shock.
it was a shock.
It seems to kind of be what Brett does. Brett kind of goes from long hair,
He's all or nothing. Yeah.
short, bald, to long hair again.
Men.
It should be pretty easy for that, right?
I mean,
What else could happen? I saw a video the other day. The guy was, he had placed it, made it look like piles of dog turds in his yard. And it all said like 2020, and he kept stepping in it.
yeah. I like that.
Which clock are we going by?
Ah,
That one is the same as my phone, so
You can remind me to.
maybe I can use that.
Okay, I show 7 o'clock. You ready?
I am ready, yes.
Good evening. We will call the June 15th, 2020 Auburn City Council meeting to order. The Auburn City Council meeting scheduled for Monday, June 15th, 2020 at 7 p.m. will be held virtually and telephonically. Per the Governor's Emergency Proclamation 20-28, the City of Auburn is prohibited from holding an in-person meeting at this time. All meetings will be held virtually and telephonically. At this time, would you all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. And Sean, would you please call roll?
Deputy Mayor DeCoursey.
I'm here.
Councilmember Baggett.
Here.
Councilmember Brown.
Here.
Councilmember J. Raj.
Here.
Councilmember Malenga.
Here.
Councilmember Stearns.
Here.
Councilmember Trout Manuel.
Excused. All right. At this time, I do have one proclamation. It is Juneteenth, 2020. Whereas President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1, 1863, declaring the slaves in Confederate territory free, paving the way for the passing of the 13th Amendment, which formally abolished slavery in the United States. And whereas news of the Emancipation Proclamation was delayed some 2.5 years to June 19, 1865 in Galveston, Texas, when Union General Gordon Granger read General Order Number 3, announcing the total abolishment of slavery. And whereas June 19th has a special meaning to African Americans and is called Juneteenth, combining the words June and 19th, and has been celebrated by the African American community for over 150 years. And whereas Juneteenth is a day to recognize the contributions and achievements that African Americans have made in our city, state, and country, and commit to working together to ensure that equal access and opportunities toward equality and equity continue. And whereas we acknowledge African American freedom, contributions, and achievements within this community, past and present, and whereas during this Juneteenth event, we appreciate the African American experience and celebrate the inclusion of all races, ethnicities, and nationalities. And now, therefore, I, Nancy Backus, Mayor of the City of Auburn, do hereby proclaim June 19th, 2020 to be Juneteenth 2020 in the City of Auburn, and I encourage all residents to join me in this celebration dated this 15th day of June 2020. All right, we will move on. Sean, do we have any agenda modifications?
No, Your Honor.
We have no new business, citizen input, public hearings, and correspondence. We do have, let's see, public hearing for 2021 through 2026 Transportation Improvement Program, a public hearing to consider the 2021 through 2026 Transportation Improvement Program. If you are attending the public hearing virtually, please use the link or number provided, and please raise your hand *9 if you're using a telephone. I will call on you to speak at the appropriate time. Participants can alternatively submit written comments to scampbell@auburnwa.gov. All written comments must be received prior to 6 p.m. and be 350 words or less.
Your Honor, we did not receive any written comments.
All right, we have no written comments, and I'm looking and I do not see any hands being raised. First of all, I will open the public hearing. I do not see anyone's hand raised or anyone on the phone who would like to speak. Again, if you would like to speak on the public hearing for the 2021 through 2026 Transportation Improvement Program, please raise your hand on the Zoom webinar or do a *9 on your telephone. Right. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and move to audience participation. This is the place on the agenda when the public is invited to speak to the City Council on any issue. We are currently utilizing virtual participation. Participants can submit written comments via mail, fax, or email. All written comments must be received prior to 7 p.m. on the day of the scheduled meeting and must be 350 words or less. Please mail comments to City of Auburn, attention Sean Campbell, City Clerk, 25 West Main Street, Auburn, Washington, 98001. Please fax comments to attention Sean Campbell, City Clerk, at fax number 253-804-3116, or email your comments to scampbell@auburnwa.gov. Sean, did we receive any public comment this evening?
Yes, Your Honor, we've received two. We received a comment from Bob Zimmerman with concerns regarding code compliance in the City of Auburn, and Nick Henderson asking questions about the City of Auburn's future plans. Both comments have been forwarded to Council and Mayor.
Thank you. And I don't believe we have any correspondence for council review this evening?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. We will move to Council Ad Hoc Committee reports. The chair may report on the status of their ad hoc council committee's progress on assigned tasks and may give their recommendation to the City Council, if any. We have the Finance Ad Hoc Committee Chair, Councilmember Baggett.
Thank you, Your Honor. The Finance Committee, consisting of council members Stearns and myself, reviewed 101 pages of claims vouchers totaling $5.7 million, dated June 10th, 2020. The committee also reviewed payroll vouchers for the periods May 27th to June 9th, 2020, in the amount of $2.4 million. The committee recommends council approval of these vouchers. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Baggett. All right, we will move to the consent agenda. All matters listed on the consent agenda are considered by the City Council to be routine and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Deputy Mayor DeCoursey.
Thank you, Mayor.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Councilmember Brown.
I second that motion, Mayor.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor DeCoursey.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight's consent agenda consists of the minutes of the May 26, 2020 study session, the minutes of the June 1st, 2020 City Council meeting, and the claims vouchers and payroll vouchers as described by Councilmember Baggett.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from council? Hearing none, and if council, if you would all unmute yourselves. All those in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Passes. We have no unfinished business, so moving to ordinances. Ordinance number 6777 and ordinance amending ordinance number 6767, extending the temporary waiver of late fees for utility accounts and airport fees in light of a declared public health emergency related to COVID-19. Do we have a motion? Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to move adoption of ordinance number 6777.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Stearns.
Second that motion.
Thank you. Councilmember Brown, would you care to explain?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, this ordinance extends the provisions of ordinance number 6767, as you previously stated. And this was adopted by the council on March 23rd, 2020. Ordinance 6767 temporarily superseded sections of the Auburn Municipal Code, which requires water shutoffs for delinquent utility accounts and late fees assessed on delinquent water, sewer, and airport consumption/usage. These sections will be waived until the earlier of A, termination of the civil emergency proclamation by the mayor, or on May 5th, or June 30th, 2020.
Thank you. Council, are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, and please unmute your phones. All those in favor of ordinance number 6777, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Passes. Ordinance number 6778, an ordinance providing a temporary waiver of right-of-way use permit fees for outside restaurant seating in the public right-of-way in response to the phased opening of commercial businesses following the COVID-19 declared public health emergency. Councilmember Jayraj.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would like to make a motion to adopt ordinance number 6778.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Brown.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to second that motion, please.
Thank you. Councilmember Baggett. Or excuse me, Jayraj. My apologies. I saw Councilmember Baggett's hand raised on the screen here. My apologies.
That's okay. Ordinance number 6778 authorizes a temporary waiver of the non-refundable permit application fee for right-of-way use permits applied for by restaurants to temporarily allow outdoor seating for patrons. This waiver will be effective until September 15, 2020, or until the city enters phase 4 of the governor's Safe Start plan, whichever comes first. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Questions or comments from council? Seeing none, all those in favor of of ordinance number 6778, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Passes. Resolutions. Resolution number 5514, a resolution authorizing the adoption of Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA policies for facilities in the public right-of-way. Do we have a motion? Councilmember Jayraj. Councilmember Jayraj, you are muted.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 5514.
Thank you. Councilmember Malinga.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Councilmember Jayraj.
Thank you, Your Honor. Resolution number 5514 authorizes the adoption of new ADA policies for facilities in the public right-of-way to meet the requirements of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Are there questions or comments from council? All those in favor of Resolution 5514, please say aye.
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 All opposed, please say no. Passes. Resolution 5525, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement between the City of Auburn and E-City Gov Alliance for building permit management software services. Do we have a motion? Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to move adoption of Resolution 5525.
Thank you. Councilmember Stearns.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Your Honor. This resolution concerns the E-City Government Alliance, which is an alliance of Washington cities that developed for the purpose of creating a common online permitting software interface in order to better serve the construction industry. The product created by eCity Gov is called mybuildingpermit.com. Cities that are part of the alliance and that utilize MBP include Bellevue, Bothell, Burien, Edmonds, Issaquah, Kenmore, Kirkland, Mercer Island, Mill Creek, Newcastle, Sammamish, Snoqualmie, the King County, and Snohomish County, and Auburn if we adopt this.
Thank you. Questions or comments from council? All those in favor of resolution number 5525, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Passes. Resolution number 5527, a resolution authorizing the adoption of the 2021 through 2026 Transportation Improvement Program. Deputy Mayor DeCoursey.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to adopt Resolution 5527.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Councilmember Jayraj.
Thank you, Your Honor. I second the motion.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor DeCoursey.
Thank you, Mayor. This is our annual Transportation Improvement Program, the TIP, and subject of our public hearing this evening. The TIP revisions were discussed at the May 26, 2020 Council study session, and this is a multi-year planning tool for the development of transportation facilities within the city. It does not represent a financial commitment by the city. And once the TIP is approved, the projects are budgeted and funded through the city's biennial budget.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Are there any questions or comments from council? All those in favor of resolution number 5527, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say no. Passes. Resolution number 5528, a resolution authorizing the mayor to utilize a portion of the city's allocation of CARES Act funding for small business assistance grants. Do we have a motion? Councilmember Jayraj. Councilmember Jayraj, you are muted.
Thank you again. Thank you, Your Honor. I would like to make a motion to adopt resolution number 5528.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor DeCoursey, would you like to second?
I'll second the motion, Your Honor.
Thank you. Councilmember Jayraj.
Thank you, Your Honor. The adoption, resolution number 5528 is city staff presented an overview of CARES Small Business Assistance Concept during June 8, 2020 City Council study session. City Council authorizes the concept to move forward for council consideration.
Thank you. Questions or comments from council? All those in favor of resolution number 5528, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Passes. Resolution number 5530, a resolution accepting a U.S. Department of Justice grant for coronavirus-related police funding. Councilmember Stearns.
I move to adopt resolution number 5530.
Thank you. Councilmember Malinga.
I second that motion.
Thank you. Councilmember Stearns.
Thank you. The COVID-19 public health emergency has caused the Auburn Police Department to take on additional expenditures related to officer equipment, supplies, and overtime work. To assist the department with those expenditures, the department applied for and was awarded a $106,000 financial grant from the United States Department of Justice. The department intends to use these grant funds for its COVID-19 related expenditures consistent with the grant terms and conditions.
Thank you. Questions or comments from council? All those in favor of resolution number 5530, please say aye.
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 All opposed, please say no. Passes. Resolution number 5531, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an interagency agreement between the City of Auburn and the Washington State Department of Commerce relating to the coronavirus relief fund for local governments. Councilmember Malinga.
I ask that the city adopt resolution number 5531.
Thank you. Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to second that motion.
Thank you. Councilmember Malinga.
Resolution number 5531 authorizes the mayor to accept the federal grant to be administered through the Washington State Department of Commerce. The city was awarded $2,451,600 for costs incurred during the public health emergency with respect to the coronavirus during the period of March 1st, 2020 through October 31st, 2020.
Thank you. Questions or comments from council? All those in favor of resolution number 5531, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed, please. All opposed, please say no. Passes. Council, what you have done tonight is a significant amount of work. And the state funding from the CARES Act, as you know, is only allowed to be utilized for expenditures directly related to COVID-19, but it also does allow for business grants, which is what you also approved tonight. That is some significant work that will be done in this community to help those businesses who were negatively impacted by COVID-19 to be able to pay rent or to pay employees. So I commend you for the reading, for the work, and for your support of all of the actions that you took tonight. it will make a significant difference in our community. And we will now move on to mayor and council member reports. At this time, the mayor and city council may report on significant items associated with their appointed positions on federal, state, regional, and local organizations. We will begin with Deputy Mayor DeCoursey.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have a specific report, but I'd like to make a couple of comments. First, I'd like to comment on the activities that took place on Auburn Way near Fred Meyer last Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday by the educators and the students that many of us attended. I was there Thursday night, and the activities that took place and the peacefulness of the activities was really great to see. And it was also nice to see that the majority of the people in vehicles that were going up and down Auburn Way were very positive, tooting their horns, waving, thumbs up. So it shows that we have a fairly good coming together in Auburn, and I'm very pleased that our city is able to do these types of demonstrations peacefully and to show the way for others on what it's like to do a peaceful demonstration. Secondly, I am very pleased to see that we finally have some of our businesses, in some respects, opening a little bit and able to do some business again. Businesses like Lowe's and Fred Meyer, we're always very busy, but now the small businesses have the opportunity, hopefully, to kind of regain and recover. And as we continue to move forward, let's all support our small businesses in Auburn and keep these businesses alive. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Baggett.
Thank you, Your Honor. I've been attending several virtual meetings here in the regional area, and just one that I would like to report on, more of an information regarding a proposed resolution that's going to be coming forth to the Tacoma-Pierce County Board of Health. This is going to be placed on the agenda for next Wednesday's Board of Health meeting, which I believe will be a study session that will ultimately lead to the regular session for voting. This basic resolution declares racism to be a public health crisis and charges the health department to do one of four things, or all four things, I should say. Assess internal policies and procedures to basically reference and address internal policies and procedures to reform and address processes that contribute to race-based decisions and actions. Number two, actively engage in and fund anti-racist work, and particularly anti-Black racism. Partner with communities to co-create solutions. And lastly, promote policy and system level charges within Pierce County to undo racist structures. Now, this is going to come before the Board of Health to review, discuss, and whether or not they plan to move this forward for a vote on the next meeting. So it will affect those people in Pierce County, of which we have neighbors in Pierce County. So I want to make sure they were aware of this. Again, the meeting will be held virtually, and those interested in attending. Finally, also, we're about ready to start getting our Regional Transportation Committee for King County back on having meetings virtually. And we will be having our first meeting here on Wednesday of this week. So I'll have some more information to report at our next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Brown.
Just a very short report, Mayor. I would report to my fellow council members that I've received several phone calls and emails from citizens of Auburn that are expressing some of the sentiment that Councilmember Baggett just talked about, calling out our city to work on the issues of race and equity. And it makes me proud to live in a city where we're getting those calls instead of some other kinds of calls. So that would conclude my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember J. Raj.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a couple of things to say tonight. First of all, today being June 15th, a historic ruling on this from the Supreme Court of the USA, which protects millions of LGBTQ workers from discrimination. Our brothers and sisters of the LGBTQ are probably very, very, very happy today. They deserve it. Secondly, I wanted to commend Kat Abraham, a teacher in Auburn, who felt it was important for her students to feel safe and comfortable in her classroom and needed to speak out for all children and other Black community members who live in Auburn. And she organized the peaceful demonstration that our Deputy Mayor Claude DeCourcy talked about just a minute ago. It was attended pretty, first couple of days there was an average about 30 people. And then the last day there was probably about 100, slightly more than 100 people who came around, and we got all the honks, and you know, like he said, people were giving the peace sign and all that kind of stuff. Made me feel good that I live in a city that is very accepting of who we are. But on the flip side of things, I want to talk about Rashad Brooks, who died the same day, last Friday, as we were finishing up the peaceful demonstration. He was fleeing from the officers in Atlanta and was killed while he was fleeing the scene. Now, the thing that I was asking myself is, why didn't the officers let him walk to his sister's house? That's the big question that's going on in my head. They could have done that so easily, and there would not have been a needless killing. With that said, I think we need to do more in our city, so that things like this don't happen in our city. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Councilmember Malinga.
The only thing to report on tonight is I had a meeting last Tuesday with the Children and Youth Advisory Board, and one of the things that we're working on is drafting up a statement that just reasserts our commitment to making sure we provide equity and ensuring that all students, as well as Black and brown children, are thriving and have a safe place here in King County. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Stearns.
Thank you, Your Honor. You know, pretty intense past week. I was glad to thank you, Councilmember J. Raj, for mentioning CAD's work. It's pretty cool what the students are doing, and I was glad to see the mayor and you hang out with you guys. See all the wonderful salutes and waves that we got, including a few interesting salutes. But you know, you're right. It was really good, and it was so cool to see all those kids out there. Along those lines, I attended a webinar last week this wonderful thing about virtual realities. I got to go to a webinar at Harvard University, and it was on police brutality, and it just underscored how important it is for us, for our city, to have meaningful, honest, and open conversations about policing, race relations, and inequality with our community. and to look at things like, our city's use of force policies, our position on body cameras, neck restraints, and the collection of data to examine whether or not there is bias in our policing. And I was glad to hear what the governor has proposed, for the next legislative session. And so I'm really, really encouraged by what I'm hearing. And then lastly, it was just pretty awesome, as someone mentioned earlier too, that the Supreme Court made their historic ruling so that you can't fire or refuse to hire someone because you're LGBTQ, and that just really goes to our unique and our wonderful human dignity that we all possess and that we should all possess equally. And it's just really good to have that happen today. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilmember Stearns. I would agree with you and Councilmember J. Raj that it was historic today. My daughter was sleeping, but it's an issue that we have chatted about quite often in our house, and so I woke her up from a very sound sleep with tears in my eyes as I told her of the SCOTUS decision, the 6-3 decision, which had some surprises on the support side. So thank you for mentioning that. I have been meeting with many people within our community, some from the faith-based community, others who have been protest organizers, others who are concerned citizens, as well as our Police Officers Guild. I have been encouraged by all of those conversations. There are numerous questions that need to be answered. What I do know is that this is the community to do that work. None of this work will be done in a vacuum. There is work to be done within our internal Auburn employees team, but there is also outward-facing work to our community. What I can guarantee you, while I don't have all of the facts and all of the details in place, is that there will be community engagement looking at some of our, well, actually all of our ordinances, resolutions. Have we unintentionally created barriers for people of color in our community? And how can we change that to where we are intentionally providing opportunities for everyone? Same with police. We have a wonderful police force here in Auburn. I know many of them personally, and we are very fortunate to have the police department that we have. That being said, there are always opportunities for us to be looking at different ways of doing some of the work. I would venture to say that many of our officers did not become police officers to go out and be behavioral health counselors, social workers, and other types of experts. So what we need to do is be able to find ways for our officers to have the support that they need and have trained professionals available, a type of response team, if you will, so that our officers can do the work of the peacekeeping in our community and be available if there is a crime being committed, as opposed to being with someone who is in mental crisis once that scene is secured. Is that the best use of our police officers' time to be at that type of a call, or is it best handled by someone who has been professionally trained in that regard? Those are some of the questions that we will be asking our community to help us answer going forward. It will be done in partnership with our police officers. It will be done, council, with your assistance as well. We will be putting together all kinds of community teams. We are going to be asking for your full support as well as those in our community. And I would encourage anyone in our community to come forward, let us know that you are interested in being part of that conversation. We, as a mayor and council, do not have control over anything that happens outside of Auburn. We have a sphere of control within the city of Auburn, and we know that we can make a positive impact on the lives of those that we serve. It's no longer enough to say that you're not racist. It is incredibly important to be anti-racist and to be actively out in opposition to racism within our community and implicit bias. And so with that, I will end my comments for this evening. We have no need for an executive or closed session. Council, we are adjourned. Thank you so much for your work.